So mine also same problem.
So your problem may be because of your servlet position has not been declared. Try to do debug on server. If it is not coming in the debug mode, the debug point once click on submit. That means your
विशुदाईको भोलि म हेरिदिन्छु भोलि
भोलि त कतिखेर हुन्छ साँझखेरि
बिहान बिहान
बिहान त मेरो काम छ होइन साँझखेरि मैले तर टिम एउटा
Okay, so let us start for today's class, guys. Because this, anyways, I ask you guys to discuss all these things for division class, not in the main class. Anyways, let me share my screen. I hope everyone could able to see. That's what we discussed yesterday. That about Spring basic of Spring framework, why it is required, and what is the main use of it, and we will going to learn what next. So now, part of many things in the Spring framework, we will be mostly concentrating on what I call mostly concentrating on the Spring code, which is inversion of control and dependency injection. They're the two very important and the major concepts that we're going to use. Okay, so that is what we will be discussing right now. Basically, that is the Spring framework. Okay, the basic of Spring framework that we will be talking about. So in this case, so what we are actually looking for right now, basically we are learning how Spring framework works. Now, is it not same like Java works? It has a bit of layer. So what it is doing is, if I can quickly picturize the thing, it will be easy for you. So for example, this is your, as of now, you have created all the Java classes, whatever you have created, it is as a form of Java classes, right? So what happened to it? So it goes to your JVM memory, probably it is heap memory in JVM. So we all know that, right? It's a heap memory. So when we create an object of a class, quickly it goes and it creates the object here in the memory, and you can easily use it. So likewise, so you have something called this is normal Java that we have done, but there's a little difference, or there's a difference between that and the Spring framework. So in Spring framework, definitely the basic concept is it is on top of Java. There's no doubt of it. That means you can create an object, you can create everything. There is no doubt about that. But it is only talking about, along with that, it is talking about something called your some layer, because it directly don't go to JVM. It goes some process, and that process will tell you that how it is going. Okay, so how it is going in a sense, for example, this is your a.java, for example. So once you create a.java object, this is very important things, guys. Please try to understand this one. Then only next thing will be starting on this. So new a. For example, when you write this, what happened? In normal Java, it object is getting created. Where the object is, yes, so where object is getting created in your heap memory. Any concern, any confusion here? No, because this is we are doing day-to-day basis all the days now. Now Spring framework is saying that okay, this is the framework, this is the main structure, but it will not follow the same way. It will not directly go heap memory. So it is saying that I will provide a special container. Whatever you wanted to create, whatever object you wanted to create, but in a container. Later on, this container will communicate with your JVM. Obviously, this is a Java-based framework, so container will communicate with the JVM, not you, who can directly go and communicate with the JVM. Likewise, normal Java. Clear what I'm saying? That is the difference between a normal Java execution and Spring execution. Any Spring that we'll be learning next, you will see that we'll play around with the normal Java class only, but we definitely will not be creating object like the way we are creating object today for the normal classes. We'll be doing a little different way. So this container, whatever I'm talking, this is called IOC container, which is called inversion of control. Clear what I'm saying? So this IOC container is a container again. So if I quickly give a small definition of IOC container. So this container is something, it helps to create an object in Spring framework. Okay. Later on, this container will communicate with JVM to create object separately. Okay. Understandable what I'm writing here?
So before the Spring, the object is directly go in JVM and after.
Obviously, right? Currently, however you have done, as of now, whatever you have done, you have directly written a new keyword, correct? Class A is equal to new A, correct? But right now, after Spring Basics, you will see the same Java class. I will not be writing that class is equal to new class. I will not be writing that, but I will do in a different way. That is because of Spring Framework is saying, I cannot allow you to create object like the way we create in a normal Java. If you wanted to create an object, you need to configure first. That is called configure that class in my container, which is called a bin. B-E-A-N, bin. So whatever you wanted to configure or whatever you wanted to create an object of your own class, do create for Spring Framework, but as a bin. So that's the difference with the normal Java execution and this bin creation and bin command. Making sense, everyone? I'm coming, what is bin definition, what is the bin thing, that is important. But if we wanted to create an object in Spring Framework, make a note of it. You cannot create the way you can do today easily with a new keyword. You cannot do it. You have to create, or you have to configure that in IOC container, which is the full form is inversion of control. That is a Spring container. Spring container will later on definitely at the end of a day, if this object has to create it in your JVM main. Container will communicate and create, not you. Now, how container will communicate with the JVM? That is the internal code that is already pre-written by this Spring Framework guy. Because this Spring Framework is being invented, the set of people in 2005-2006 time frame, if you see the history. So that framework already written on top of Java framework. How they are communicating with the JVM, that is written very much internally. You will not be able to see that, but everything will work as it is normal. What they are saying, you don't need to worry about creation of an object with the JVM. because that will not be so easy things as a framework concern. That they are taking care already, and that you will be using only the jar. That's it. But you have to configure your class as a form of bin to IOC container. Clear, everyone?
JPA is just connecting to the database, right?
Yes, JPA is a different concept.
And
JPA is, yes, connecting to database, yes.
yeah, if we're working on the JPA, we don't have to work on the Hibernate.
No. JPA is the format where you can provide all the annotation, all the required connection between multiple entities. But Hibernate is the ultimate one who is doing the connection job, connection to the database, connecting to the database. JPA is the way how you are declaring or defining the entities. Entities means which will be eventually the table. And Hibernate is the one who is taking care of the connection. So you need both, because without Hibernate you cannot do connection. With now, if you say in place of Hibernate, what can you use? You can use JDBC, the basic one, for the connection.
Okay.
Clear?
Yeah.
JPA is required. JPA is a different ball game. Hibernate is a different ball game. And what you're talking about, Spring, is a different thing. Understandable, everyone? Any concern? So, as I mentioned, there are two ways you can create an object, or you can configure this, which is, basically the two ways. One is XML based, one is annotation based configuration. I'll write over here two ways we can create bin. One is XML configuration, and another is annotation configuration. So these are the two ways. We'll learn both the way how to do it. And now this IOC container, two type of IOC container available. What are the two type of IOC container available? One is bean factory. One is bean factory container. And another is your application context. So mostly we will be going with this container. The two type of IOC container available. If this all sort of question definitely being asked at your interview to understand your basic concept of Spring. So there are two type of IOC containers available. One is bean factory container, one is application context. Clear? So now we will be talking about mostly on the bean creation and all. So before I do bean creation, I would like to create a Spring project. Let's see how we can create a Spring project. Then we can move on to that further. Okay, now we'll see that what I am talking, that I can create an object but not directly with JPA. We'll see that first, how that can possibly. Okay, let me share my screen. Maybe I open something else. Now we'll create our Spring project, but we need to include, okay, this is not a Spring project, this is file input output project. I will do that. it's a basic project, but we will get as a Maven project only because we need a couple of things to be there. So let's say I create a new project. So it will be Maven project. Simple. So let me choose the class notes. Then this is Spring Basic. First, we're understanding Spring Basic example. Everything else remain fine. I'm not worried about that. Let me share my screen. So this is our Spring Basic example. Okay, so let me put the font. So I need couple of jars. I'll paste over jar over chat as well. So I need this property. You guys don't need this. I need couple of dependencies. I will include that dependencies I open and take it from Maven Central. So there we need Spring context. I'll paste it over chat if you wanted to paste it, you can use it. Then you need a Spring core. So see, these are the already pre-written dependencies already available to us. And we need to just go ahead and use it. And Spring bin. Dependencies. And last one is the Lombard. I will take the Lombard one for just to make sure if you can, getter and setter thing. But initially we will not do that. We will see how we can manage it. So now, so these are all jar you need to include. Why? Because this is the, I already mentioned, this is already pre-written framework. That is why these are the jar files which you need to your project to start writing or to start converting your normal project to Spring project. Without, you can use a normal project, you can use like form.xml for normal cases as well, right? But for going forward, these application will be considered as a Spring application, whatever we will do. Clear, right, everyone?
So all look like a Maven project. You just only need to add the dependency. Yeah.
Correct. Obviously, anything. For example, you wanted to create tomorrow any Spring Boot project also. You need to include the required dependencies there. That's it. So automatically, the project you can use it as a Spring Boot project. The normal Java project
But
only you can convert it to Spring Boot.
Spring Boot is itself in the Maven project, right?
Yes, it's not only Maven, you can do with a Gradle also, right? I mentioned, like you have whatever build tool you have, you can use. You can do with Gradle as well. Ant as well. Ant was the initial version, not only Maven project. Okay, so now what I will do is, So I'll check that. Yes, I can see.
How did you? I missed that part. How did you create that project? It's only Maven project.
Simple. I created a Maven project. Simple.
Maven project.
And then I just added the required dependency. I pasted over there in chat. Whatever.
Okay.
Lombard, anyways, you have it. And if simply you can go to these, I copied from Maven Central Depository. You can simply go and search on Spring Bean, Spring Core, and context. You will get everything. Okay, so that is the one thing. Now let's see. Now let's say first, I'll like to create one package, or okay, let
Excuse me, sir. There is any shortcut path to convert a normal project to Maven project?
Yeah, it is there. Right click on the project, maybe second last or third last option, manage project. You can see, and there if you click on that, maybe the last option or second last option, you can see convert it to Maven project. Are you getting right?
I'll see just a second.
Now, where you are trying to do in Eclipse?
On IntelliJ.
Simple. You can come here if it is IntelliJ, then right click on the project. I think you should be having some option. Here it is already Maven project, but if it is not a Maven project, you should be having an option here, manage project or something. Manage project or convert some project, some option will be there. So there you can do convert. Okay, I'll show you maybe. There should be option. You can convert. I will take whatever I wrote over there. I kept it here as a class note. Bean factory. Okay. Now let's see how we can create an object here. Okay. So let's say I will do.
Sir, what is bean? Sorry,
I'll explain. So bean is something which is when you create an object inside Spring Framework, that object is called as a bean. That means here in Spring we are calling that create a bean. Nothing. Create an object of a class. As I mentioned, how you create an object today for Java? Simple, write a class, for example, class A is equal to new class A, correct? That is why you create an object. So that's a normal object create. But when you do the same thing in Spring, it cannot be that simple way you create an object in Java. And like normal Java, plain Java, I would say. So there you need to configure your class inside IOC container. So while configuring, we need to create an object of that class. That is the bean of the class. Create a bean. Understood? This bean. So bean is a representation of any Pojo class inside your IOC container. Okay, so first we are going to explore about, as I mentioned, there are two types, XML configuration and annotation config. First we will go with XML configuration. Let me create a package, XML configuration. Let's say I create a class here. Some class. It's nothing to do with the class or anything. So let's say I create a class called student, and I am creating one method public void test. Inside test method, for example. So if I say in a normal Java, I wanted to call this test method, or I wanted to execute, I wanted to create an object of a student, what you will do? Simply go somewhere, main method or somewhere. You simply start on what you call. You simply create an object of a student. Student S is equal to new student, and then you can simply call the test method and continue. Clear? That is how you do, right? Normally, how we are doing. There's a normal object creation, but how I am going to call this test method is important here. Let's see how we can do it. For that, you need one thing called configuration file. That is called XML file. I will call it as a bin.xml. So this bin.xml would be the file where I am going to be configured that. So I need to take something from beginning. This is something the XML file should be having UTF-8. Then I will take the bin. This I would like to copy to all of you guys. You can make a copy. But this has to be the URL under that. So this is the file. This is, you can consider as a main configuration file for XML based configuration, where we will be configuring all the Java classes that I wanted to create an object in Spring Framework. Repeating again, this is a configuration file where I will be configuring all the required classes that I wanted to create an object in Spring Framework. Digestible or still complicated? Everyone? Repeating again, when we create a normal object in Java, there is no problem. You know how to create an object of a Java. But when in terms of Spring Framework, it will be different. It is not that simple that I write a class and I can go and create somewhere a class is equal to new that class. That's it. You cannot do that. So what it can do it? We have to configure inside IOC container. There are two ways I mentioned. One is XML configuration, one is annotation. So currently we are going XML configuration. So in XML configuration, this should be your main file where you will be configuring or registering all the required Java class file for Spring Framework you wanted to create an object.
We also provide here the database connection details.
No. The database connection we don't provide. Database connection in a different place. This is something where, first of all, you need to create an object, right? You need to configure that as a bin. Database creation will come in a different section, not here. Bin creation and database connection is two different things. Okay. So this is something where I wanted to, for example, I created a student class, right? I supposed to create, there is something called bin tag. Here you can see bin. So this bin tag I need to use here. Inside bin, observe it, I provide some ID. So let's say student. Then I provide class. Here you need to provide the details class. So here XML configuration dot student class. See, this class I am configuring here. Clear? I'm not doing anything other than this. That's it. I'm just registering or configuring my student class inside bin.xml. That's the work I have done. Next is what? I'll create a main class. You will see this. That is called execution main XML configure. So this is a class where so likewise we create a main class, right? Here also I'll keep it as, if I wanted to make it executable, so I'll create a main method. I wanted to execute this class, normal Java class, right? I can simply write a main method. I don't need to worry about anything.
Can I just open the bin.xml like one more time?
I just give an ID, and this ID can be anything. I give a student, and this is your class. Details class path. Which class you wanted to create an object, and this here student class. So now if you wanted to say that what I am trying to do here, I am trying to create an object of a student in Spring Framework. First of all, the student class will be configured as a bin here. So now in the main XML config, so let's say execution one. Generally in Java, what you write? I'm just writing in normal Java. I'm just typing here is equal to new student. This you would have done, then student dot test method. This you would have done, right, in a normal scenario, normal Java scenario. But in this case, we cannot do this. Here I need to create, if you remember that I told about two type of IOC container. One is bin factory, which is not used right now. Another is application context. Now here in this particular line, I am going to create your container. I am going to initialize your container. See what is that? Application context is equal to new class path XML application context. Inside that, I need to pass bin.xml. So I am registering this container, passing the configuration file inside it. So I first created one Java class, then I put it to a configuration file, then I put that entire configuration file to the container. So what will happen? Container internally will go to your JVM and create those objects. You will not be writing the line I wrote it before here. Student is equal to new student. You will not be writing, but it will be written by your IOC container. You have to give the sufficient information to the IOC container by putting that in a configuration file. Make sense? Anywhere it is not understandable, please let me know. Yeah.
This file, the bin.xml file, if we store that in outside the resources, that means any other location.
No problem. No problem. Any location you can keep it, yeah. But you have to give the path. That's it. Wherever you put it, give the proper path with the file.
If you put that in the resource, then only the file name is enough here.
Yes. It will be recognized. This is a Maven project, right? Maven project. A resource folder comes by default. Okay. So the next thing is, now I will be creating the student object. See how? Student. I am not writing new student here. So what I am going to write? Application context. Okay. Dot get bin. I have to pass the bin ID or bin name, whatever. So what I give the name, and I give a student. Whatever ID I have given here, right? That ID I need to call to get the detail, and you need to type pass this. So see, this is how. Now if I do student dot test, see the way I'm creating object in Spring Framework is way different than how we are doing today in the normal Java. Now simplify execute. Let's see what happens. This is the executable class, right? So I should be allowed to execute. If not, I am getting an error. So it needs all these bin whatsoever things, and then it should be, can you see, inside test method. Finally, our motto is same, to create an object. Earlier it was in a normal Java, which you know. Right now we are doing inside Spring Framework. So when we are doing inside Spring Framework, we cannot create an object directly. We have to create on IOC container. To create IOC container, there are two ways. One is XML configuration, annotation config. We are learning XML configuration now. To do XML configuration, we go to the XML file, configuration file. We created, that's why bin.xml, where we are configuring or registering the class I want to create an object. If you say, if I don't want to create an object of the class, or rather I don't want to create declare the bin of the class, it's okay. You can do that. That's up to you. But the particular object will never be directly created with this IOC container. And that will never be considered as a bin as well, if you don't register here as a bin. Understandable? What is bin? Yes, no?
Can you show the nodes and explain one more in short form? That I missed that part, so sorry about that.
Which one?
It's IOC container, and yeah, what's that IOC container?
So IOC container, again I am saying, IOC container is a container that is being provided to us from Spring Framework side. If I wanted to create an object in Spring Framework, that cannot be straightforward likewise we do with a normal Java.
Okay.
In this Spring Framework, IOC container will go and communicate with the JVM internally. We will not be doing by ourselves. Okay. We'll only registering any Java class as a form of a bin to the IOC container. Making sense?
Yeah. Can you just drag the right side so that you can see that?
Okay, I'll
okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
So this is about your bin definition or whatever bin configuration, whatsoever it is there.
Yeah,
So this is
here.
XML.
Can you go back to the students?
IOC container is all. It's we also call that bin.
No. IOC container is a container where if you are registering any Java class which you want to create an object, that is called a bin.
Okay.
That is called a bin.
Okay.
Not IOC container is not called as a bin.
Okay.
Bin is something which will be created inside container.
Container. Okay.
Container internally will go to JVM and create an object of the same class that you want to create an object. Yes, Srijana, you're saying something?
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, if we have an instance variable instead of method in student class, then how do we create the object?
Instance variable in essence?
private integer.
Private
in-
integer count.
Yeah.
And then you have a getter and setter method, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
But we don't have a method.
Anyways, we'll create a getter and setter method. That's what you were asking? Like this
Yeah.
we have.
I mean, now we already have a test method, so we went to the main and call the method. But if we don't have the test method, then how do we create it?
No. Test method is there, but if you have a private this one, you need to create a getter and setter, right?
Yeah.
So you can simply go to here and you can do this, right? Student dot. This is a normal Java. I'm not doing anything extra here.
Only
Then so I'm just teaching you how to create an object in Spring Framework, which is not going to be the same like how we do in Java. That's what I'm teaching you. But everything else remains same. Once you execute line number 9, after that it is equivalent to your student is equal to new student.
We also can use the bin factory to bin factory.
Yes. But we don't use nowadays much. You can use, but you don't use nowadays. Application context is around. So this is equivalent to this line number 9, whatever you can see, this is equivalent to this. But we cannot write directly here. If I wanted to create a bin, if I wanted to configure that particular student class as a bin, so whatever, so at the end of a day, if I wanted to conclude one thing, what I can do, what I can say that in this Spring Framework, whatever class you will be creating, whatever Java class you will be creating, that at the end of a day going to create, it has to create an object. Without creation of object, it never works. Even though you are in little advanced layer of your Java, advanced framework of your Java, but still, at the end of a day, it needs to go and communicate with your JVM and heap memory and stack memory. Nowhere else. Somebody is writing that code to communicate between these IOC containers, whatever we are simply writing in line number 8, to the JVM. Somebody has already written the code. We are reusing that. That is why we go to pom.xml and included those sort of dependencies there. Clear?
Yeah.
Any confusion?
Application, this bins is used for in Spring, right? Not in Spring Boot.
Everything. So whatever you are learning
Here
is a basic building block of the Spring Framework. Obviously, it will be same as in Spring Boot as well.
Okay.
But Spring Boot is such a creamy layer where you don't see all these things. That is why you are learning Spring Basics to understand how object is being created. Because tomorrow when I change to annotation, I should not be having that perception that everything is happening in magic. No, nothing is in magic. Behind everything there is a logic. That means IOC container is there. Who is doing your job? Everything is getting created in your JVM memory. Even if you write some extra for loop in your Spring Framework, still it will affect your system memory. Why? Your Spring heap memory will be full. That who is communicating to a heap memory? IOC container is communicating with the heap memory. So that means tomorrow when you will go to more up the ladder, you will don't see all this configuration level of thing, but everything is happening in the background, which you don't need to take care. That is why our framework is already pre-written, we are reusing it. Or rather, we are taking that structure and giving the whatever formation we want to give as a part of our requirement, our new application format, whatsoever. That is why they have given the structure to us. I want to write a banking application. I want to write a shopping cart. I want to write any e-commerce application. I want to write anything. Keeping the structure same. At the end of the day, everyone has started from basic.
What is
That's what
actually the event propagation?
Sorry?
Event propagation.
Event propagation. I mean, what is that?
That's,
I mean, that is a different thing. Event
I have seen
propagation.
that in bin factory, in application context, there is additional features on top of the bin factory. That's one of the features is event propagation.
I mean, that is event propagation. I will come to it, but not now. Okay, let us start from this. Okay, so this is one thing. This is a very important thing, that how we are going with the how we are going to create this particular bean in IRC container. For that, you have a bean.xml. Now there's a bean scope. There are couple of type of scope available in a bean. Now we'll be talking about little bit of bean scope. Now what the moment I say bean scope, what does that mean? That means I registered here this student class as a bean, right? I registered here. Why I registered here? Because I wanted to create an object of this student class. Who will create an object of a student class? Again and again, why I am repeating? So that you can remember that what is the utility of IRC container, nothing else. That is why I am repeating the same thing again and again, round robin fashion. Okay, so now something called bean scope. So how many type of scope available in Spring Bin? Scope means that I'll explain you what is the scope is all about. Scope means how you will be declaring the object, or how multiple objects can be declared, and how if you wanted to create an object, how it will be working, something like that. So in Bean scope, that is only provided for Spring framework. You cannot get all this in your Java. This is only available in Spring framework. The first is singleton. Second is prototype. We'll see this as an example. Prototype. Then you have request. This is a Bean scope. Sometimes this is being asked in a interview as well. 4 is session, and 5th is global session. Clear? So these are the scope of a bean. Now you will say, what does this mean? I'll tell you. So currently, okay, so just if I can write a quick definition, then we'll go for the example as well. This is a default scope. Even if you don't mention anything inside your bean.xml, it considers the scope. You can see the scope. Here we have prototype, singleton, all the same. You can see it's all available. So by default, it is a singleton scope. By default, even if I don't mention anything here, by default it's a singleton scope. Correct? So what is the definition if I quickly want to write? It's a default scope, obviously. This bin definition to create
Object only one time?
Yes, to create instance one time. That means a single instance. Not one time, I'll say create single instance. That is the appropriate word. Single instance. I'll show you what it is. Prototype means in this scope, in this particular scope, single bin definition can be created any number of object instance. So mostly these two are the very important. Request session and global session we'll see later, but mostly these two are the very important ones. We'll see as an example how this is going to work. So by default, okay, so how I will be understanding this, what I'm talking. Let's say I create another object. Student, let's say student 1 is equal to, I create again student application, same. I like to copy here, same thing. I'm creating another object. Just observe it. This is little interesting. I create another object, basically two objects I have created. The different reference. One is student, another is student 1. Now, if I do, what you call, let's say I just wanted to print here, let's say I'll say, just observe here what I'm doing. Same thing I'll do here. Second instance, student.getCount. I'm simply doing this. I'm not, so even though you have a concept, right? So what you have a concept? Just remember. Okay, let me write in this way, then maybe it will be clear. If I say like this, if I say student S is equal to new student, just let me know then if you're having any difficulty. Set count 10 and then you are doing this out. Like how normal Java you work. And then and another object, student S1 is equal to new student. Now you, instead of setting anything, if I do this, can anyone tell me what will be the output of this last system but out of printer? Can anyone tell me? What is the output of the first one? Line number 22. I'm not talking about line number 12 and 15. Leave that. First, tell me what would be the output.
But the 20, line number 20, I think we cannot create the object because
no. First of all, you forget about that. Tell me in Java front.
In Java
front, if I write like
create the new object, student object, and set the value 10, and we'll print that as the get count that will print 10.
No, but I want no. I want the output of line number 22.
24 is S1 or S?
Sorry, S1. Yeah.
That is the 10 and stream 1. That's
10 and 0.
Also get that 10.
Correct. Srinath is correct. 10 and 0. That's what I was looking for. Why 0? Because we're not setting anything.
Yeah, that's a
remember
separate
this. Just remember this. Their scope comes to picture. Same thing happens in Spring as well. That's what I have done this. Student1.getCount. Same thing I have done it. Whatever I wrote it here, why I wrote it here? Just to make you understand. Because looking at this, people might confuse how things are going on. Exactly same. But now, this scope is very important. Now if I execute, now let's see what comes. What result is given. As per our knowledge, if I analyze the below commented code, first instance should be giving me 10, second instance should give me 0. That is what our perception, right?
Yeah, but here it's the same 10, 10.
That is why singleton is come to picture. Because scope is singleton. That means you will create instance once, it will be available across the
all the objects.
Across the time you are creating. So you see, I'm creating instance first time, right?
Mm-hmm.
The same instance I'm setting here. Even if I again creating the new instance, if I'm thinking I'm trying to create a new object, but still because of the scope, it will be available unless I go and change it. If I go and change here, that is the difference. If you change here to 11, that is okay. Again, it will be changed, but not the previous one.
First one also will be
First one
changed.
will keep as it. No.
Oh, okay.
First one will be as it is. First one will be as it is. Second one, you are overriding. Basically, you are overriding 10 to 11. That is a normal flow. Now, same thing. I'll remove this. Same thing. I will go to bin.xml. Now, default scope, right? Default scope was singleton. So, if I apply singleton also here, as it is, work will be remain same. There will be no change in the work. I remove that element just to make sure I can show you the difference between singleton and prototype. This is very, very, very important in terms of your interview, in terms of anything, because they ask this. This is, even if I keep the scope, singleton, it's a default scope, right? Even if I don't mention the scope tag at all, it is a default scope is singleton. Now if I change singleton to prototype, now you'll see the difference. If I change this to prototype, now if I execute this,
it will work as a normal law.
Yes, that will work as what I saw that effect. See, it became a 0. Because the moment I go to prototype, one instance, one purpose. Again, you are likewise this. If I again create a new object, it will go and create a. So, how it is working? If I can quickly do it. So, this is my heap memory at the end of a day. This is my location. So first, in a singleton, if I create a multiple instance, it is pointing to the same instance initially. So I create only once. It never create multiple. But in prototype, likewise your normal Java. So normal Java means it will be same like it will be create another one, and this will come here. Clear? The difference between prototype and singleton. These are the two most used one in Spring Framework.
Can you explain why in which situation we will use the prototype and which situation?
That's up to you. That's up to you. Whenever you wanted to make sure that I will set the parameter or my instance, I wanted to create only once. For example, for session factory and all, we would like to choose singleton because only one time I will create, use multiple places till across the time. But whereas session, I wanted to create again and again, new session. In that case, singleton would not be the appropriate, prototype would be the appropriate. So you need to understand the basic, and then you need to apply whatever is required based on the requirement. Clear? Okay, and there are 3 more. I'll just quickly write those things. They are not used very much, but I should write what it is. It is simply HTTP request, which you already know. HTTP request, whenever we have a request means HTTP request. This is something bin definition. At HTTP request. Only for the HTTP request, this request scope is valid. And this is same thing, bin definition in diligence scope. HTTP session. That is HTTP request, this is session. And this is something.
This session is used when we use the session.
Whenever we will be having request and response. In future, you will be working on Spring MVC and all, right? Spring MVC, then we'll be working Spring Boot. There you will see all these requests session. But
that
anyways,
means like once we log in, then that once we log in, before log, then that session should be open, right? That in that
no,
case,
no, no, no. Once you are hitting an application, that time your session generally opens, and your session being live for 30 minutes or something like that. You can set that parameter. How long you wanted to make your session alive. You can do that actually. Okay. So for that, this session comes to picture. But for right now, you don't need to worry about it, because this session we'll be talking about later. This last one, we don't see as such much usage, because they are going to be used internally in a Spring framework, but we don't use much in this. This is global session, global HTTP session. Bin definition again. In global session. So mostly singleton and prototype, that is being used across, just to make sure how many instances we are creating and how. That's it. Clear? Any confusion about the bin definition, about the bin scope? So these are the very, very important things that we are going through. And next one is bin life cycle, which is again life cycle means likewise your servlet life cycle. So we have something called init and destroy. Similar. So there is something called init and destroy. Destroy method. These two are the default ones available. For example, I wanted to see whether my bin is
life cycle of bin, right?
Bin. So life cycle means when it is being creating, when it is being destroying. If I wanted to track of it, can I track of it? Because as of now, you haven't seen that, right?
I have seen somewhere that life cycle is like IP, and that's a lot of many steps.
So Chiranjeev, I request you to follow me while I am teaching you, rather follow some resources right now. So it will confuse you. So, but whenever I am teaching you, you should not follow both. Then you will be fully confused, because definitely the way of teaching me is different, because I am making you digestible, and whatever you can see in the resources is not digestible. Because when I started Spring, nobody helped me, and I lost completely. I learned Spring after second year. So you can imagine, first year I completely worked. I couldn't able to understand the cracks of it. Then I realized in second year, that's why I'm making you digestible. I am telling you very easy word, but if you go all these resources, right, you will find out wording such a complex. At the end of it, they are trying to say like it is very simple. It is trying to create an object to JVM, but they are saying in such a round way, it will be taking too long time to digest. That is why I'm telling you upfront the clear word. So that will be easy for you to digest and to remember. This is what it is happening. Correct? So if you refer the resource right away, it will be difficult for you to match. Okay. So that is why I am going point to point. I am not going all those things. There are so many things which you don't need actually. So if you see here, if I write init, can you see the init method is available here? So what is this init method? You can get anything. For example, I go to a class, I type here something called public void init. Let's say I create a method called init. So I say this out and say the inside student init method. So I write like this. Likewise, servlet. How servlet executes? In servlet lifecycle, init and destroy comes, right? Whenever you call do get, do post method, first init will call and destroy will call at the end. So likewise, this also, whenever a bin is getting created, init method will be called. If you need to initialize anything at that time, you can do inside init method. And let's say I'll create another method, public void destroy. I just give the same kind of a name, but you can give any name in these two methods. Let's say I would say inside student destroy method. That's it. Now, if I come to bin.xml, in init method, I supposed to write here init configure. See, I'm configuring these two method here, init, and I can configure destroy. So whatever name you want to give it, no problem in that. Now if I save and if I execute my simple, I will execute same thing. I don't do any changes. So here at this line, bin will be initialized, right? Bin will be initialized, the object will be created. So that time you will see that init and destroy method will come to picture. Can you see? Inside student init method, inside test method, first instance value, again inside init method. Why? Because I have created two instances. So that is why bin lifecycle comes to picture, where you can see this init method being available for you. You can do any sort of job through this init method and destroy method. When you wanted to destroy, you can simply call destroy method. Destroy of a bin. Simple. Let's say if I wanted to destroy student bin, so destroy means you are forcefully. Generally, once I stop execution, all the bin will be disposed or destroyed, or it will be removed from the memory. But if you want to do forcefully, likewise your garbage collector, if you want to do forcefully, you can call your destroy method. It will be working as method. Same. Just because your destroy method, whatever things will not come up, because you consider that it is still running, but automatically once you stop server, all these things will be deleted from your memory. See that destroy method is invoked, just I forcefully called it. Otherwise, it is act like a garbage collector in your Java. It will be deleting all of your, it will destroy all of your instances from your memory, which is not in use now. Clear?
Yeah.
So this is how bin works in Spring Framework. There are a couple of more things there. For example, I'll just quickly showcase you one small thing, then we will complete. So here, let's say I have one instance variable, right? Here I have one instance variable called count, and which I eventually set it here. Right? I can manage that in a different way as well. There's something I will not set it here. How I can set it? I can set it here also. There's something called property. In this property tag, we have name. Name is count. I can provide the value. It's a 10. Same thing. So in the bin, I can pass the instance variable value like this as well. Even constructor as well, you can pass it. I will show that tomorrow or maybe Monday. But yes, I will show you. Sorry. So now if I go here, see that I commented out line number 11. Now if you see that I am setting the bin value from there, see the value is same. I mean, obviously same because I don't have a scope here. Sorry, scope is prototype, right? Okay, sorry. Yeah, why it is same? Because for all the instances it will be same value, right? But we are setting the value there in your bin definition. So whenever it will be called this, obviously it will pick the value from here, right? That's why 10 is coming in both the scenarios. So if you wanted to make it a common value for everything, you can do it. If you wanted to override, for example, if you say that, can I override that value even though I'm setting in the bin definition? Yes, you can. You can override student.set count, let's say 11. It will be overwritten. If I execute this, even though I am setting value inside my bin configuration file, still I can override this. see, it is 11. And so I'm overriding the value of the 10 here. Clear how we can create an object in Spring Framework, and this is very, very, very critical. And frankly speaking, in your interview, in a Spring, they will be asking this very, very much because today, being a leader, I can tell you, I'm in leading role, I can tell you, still my juniors don't know how to create this. Even though they worked on 5 years down the line in the same field, 5 years, 6 years down the line, still they don't know how to create an object in Spring Framework. That is a lag because of the resources that we have in the open internet. It's quite critical and quite confusing.
Yeah.
Even that's what I told. For me also, it took 1 year to understand how this process is. Because this is quite confusing. As I am saying you directly that okay, this is the object at the end of the day that is going to create. Many people don't understand that. They feel like, oh, what is happening? Something special magic is happening. That is why everything is going. No magic. If you execute a Spring code, Spring application, go to your system memory, you can see the memory height, likewise your Java. Same thing is creating like a heap memory. That is what is happening here. Okay, so this is very, very important, and many people miss this. So we will be having a good amount of practice this to our basic concept of clear, because when you go to Spring Boot and all, you never bother about this because you don't need this. But when you will be asked, can you tell me there is an annotation in Spring Boot, how that works? Then you need to come down in this level and explain. This is work because of this. That most of the people cannot do it. That you will be understanding from now. Then we will be going to the annotation base. Then we will go to Spring Boot. As I mentioned, Spring Boot is pretty creamy layer. You will not see anything of this configuration stuff over there. It is very simple. You will feel like, oh, this is very easy. You will feel like, oh, this is only methodical thing. I can do it. I can manage it. But behind the scene, there are a lot of things that happen. Okay. I think I would like to stop here today. So I want you guys to just go through this in basic part, and Monday we will be talking about dependency injection. Dependency injection means which is equivalent to you already know about hazard relationship, right? Aggregation, association, which you already learned in your inheritance part, I believe. I hope you guys gone through it, right? So that same thing, how we are managing in Spring Framework. That you have done in Java inheritance concept. That's why I told you, those are very important, those are the basic concepts. On top of that, we will be talking about dependency injection between two bin. Now we have played around one bin. Tomorrow, Monday, we'll play around two bin, how to communicate between each other. Two bin means two class, eventually. In Spring, all these classes are called bin because we configured as a bin. In Java, they are called as a normal parent class, child class.
So each class has a separate bin.
You have to create a separate bin, right? For example, I'll just quickly create the new class. Let's say student department. I create a department class. I don't do anything here anyway. I'll simply go to bin.xml. Another new thing. Another bin. Got it, right? So here you have ID. You can call ID, DPT, and class. You can configure XML configuration, the full path.
ID is mandatory, right?
Yes, ID is mandatory. ID or name, whatever you do. That is mandatory. Because ID is kind of uniquely identifiable. So tomorrow when I would be like to create an object, then I am calling with the same ID, right? So tomorrow if I wanted to do for a department object as well, department is equal to let's say application context dot get bin. You can pass that ID here, DPT, correct? And you need to type fast. There's another way as well. I'll just quickly write that. So you can create an object like this Or if, for example, if you don't want to give ID, or you don't want to use ID, you want to do directly, you can do this.
With the class name?
Or yes, with the class. I'll do like this. Student 2 is equal to you can call application context dot get sorry, application context, right? Get bin, and here I will say student dot class. You can do this way as well. There are two ways. You can create a same thing. It will happen same thing. If you are giving with the name, you need to typecast it. ID with the ID. If you are trying to do, you have to typecast it. Directly passing student dot class, it will work the same thing. You can do you can see this. Probably I would say for instance. Student 2 dot. If I execute, I'll get the same output. I'll get the desired output. As I am setting value 10 over there, so I should be getting 10 here as well, because we are setting 10 in your bin definition. Here I am setting 10. So it should be set for every instance, right? Every instance it should set. Setting as expected. Init method also called automatically, right? So that's it for today. Let's focus on this, and make sure you guys are practicing whatever portion we have covered. Okay. I think today, tomorrow morning we will be having division class. Mostly Subhan sir will take it. So let's see if you have any doubts. So Bisha, if you have, can you quickly share now? Let's see about your problem. I understood. So your problem is this. I am just showing you Bisha upfront. So here you have a main. You can see the package. I am doing everything under Java. You have done without Java. Here under main. That is what the main problem. That is why your sublet is not getting recognized. So can you quickly share? Let's see. Yeah. Others, if you want to please, you can drop off. It's already late for you guys. You can drop off.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's see about his code. Yeah, quickly share it.